Hello, everyone. In this episode, I sit down with Brendon at the Trivia Guys. Hope you enjoy it. Number one, where did you grow up and what was it like?
So I grew up I was born in Chicago, but moved here before I really remember anything, and moved to Knoxville the same year as the World's Fair, 1982. And I grew up in an idyllic neighborhood in West Knoxville, in the River Bend area, and kind of south of Rocky Hill and all that. I had a great childhood, and I definitely consider myself a Tennessean above all else.
Wow. Did you actually go to the World's Fair?
I did. I think the only memory I have of actually going to the World's Fair was going to the restaurant at the Sun Sphere and ordering a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. That's it.
They had a peanut butter jelly sandwich on the menu?
Yeah.
On the menu, really?
I was like, they're taking care of toddlers here. That's high class.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Number two, as a child, what did you want to be when you grew up? So we're talking like 8 years old to like 12. Everybody had that one thing that they thought that they were going to be when they grew up.
So if you were asking my family, this may go a little bit before 8 years old, but I think that I had a very strong desire to be a solid gold dancer. I know a lot of people watching this probably won't know what that is, but
I totally remember solid gold.
I thought the solid gold dancers were the coolest things on planet Earth, and I would practice my moves in front of the mirror, and my family got quite the kick out of that.
So you were full on Napoleon Dynamite, like just totally.
Yeah, totally, like trying to do jump splits and I was committed at one point in my life to be a solid gold dancer.
That's great. Number three, do you collect anything?
Wow, that's a good question. I say I definitely collect liquor, like different kinds of liquor. I like to have a really wide variety. I like to try a lot of different things, even though I don't drink that much liquor. So if you saw my liquor cabinet, you'd be like, why does he have so much stuff? And then you come back 2 years later and it'd be pretty much the exact same assortment. And honestly, I think I would say I collect memories. Like, I love to travel. I make that a big time priority in my life. And I really do believe that the 3 weeks or 6 weeks a year that I'm on the road doing what I want to do, I remember more of those 6 weeks than I do the rest of the year combined. So my goal is, I know that those times are the most important times for me to explore the world and create memories.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're thinking about the good times, it just seems so hard to remember the bad ones.
Yeah.
And so I think that's wonderful. Awesome stuff. Number four, what would we most likely find you doing in your downtime?
Ooh, I don't really have a lot of downtime. And that's not necessarily by design. I'm very scatterbrained, and I jump from project to project continually. I think that, that's a really tough question. I really don't have many hobbies. It's just not my thing.
No Xbox, no nothing?
Not really. I mean, I like every once in a while I'll play a video game. Every once in a while, like, I don't even read that much anymore because I read so much for work. Really, kind of back to the when I have blocks of free time, I travel. I spend, I like to backpack, so I like third world countries, Southeast Asia, Central America. I'll be there in a heartbeat and immerse myself in another culture. That's what I do.
So I think it'd be safe to say that number four, revert back to number three.
That's what I do with my downtime.
What song would you be most likely to sing at karaoke night?
Ooh, so I've been a professional musician in the past. I spent about 12 years of my life making my entire income playing music.
Oh, wow.
And so I used to have a rule that I wouldn't sing karaoke. It's like, if they're not paying me, I'm not going to do it. You know, like I deserve to be paid to perform. But now, since I'm no longer a professional, I would say probably my favorite would be like Dixieland Delight, maybe something like that, something kind of hokey, cheesy, that I know all the words to. When I'm not
Alabama, right?
Oh yeah, Alabama.
That's an awesome song.
Yeah, an Alabama song about Tennessee. So
worked hard all week, got a little jingle.
Exactly.
Love that. What was your first job? Number 6. What was your first job?
My first ever paying gig was as a cook at Charlie Pepper's on campus. So Charlie Pepper's on the Strip. It's kind of a classic college bar. I think at one point they were actually named the number one of the top 100 college bars in America. And I was 16 years old with all these hot college girls as servers, and I was stuck with all the losers in the kitchen. And man, I still keep in touch with a lot of those guys, and it was a great experience for sure.
Awesome. Number 7. How would your friends describe you?
I think that they would say that I'm complicated, that I probably think too much, and that I'm loyal, and that I'm not afraid to go after what I want to go for. Like I don't make decisions based off of what other people think. I think that's what most of my friends would say. Whether or not that's true or not is a different thing, but I definitely think that if you were to poll my closest friends, they would all say I'm kind of a wild card.
No, I think it is true. I think worrying about what someone else's opinion is, I think you should spend, my own personal opinion is I think you should spend 0 time worrying about that.
Well, and I agree, but I think I come across as that I'm doing that, but I internally, I definitely have these conversations in my mind of, am I living up to the standard that is set before me? And most of the time I can kind of rein that in and go for it, but there are definitely times where I think people on the outside would say he doesn't care. That's not necessarily true. Maybe my decisions don't reflect that, but yeah, I think I do care. It definitely is a demon on my shoulder that I definitely think about a lot, and more than I probably should. But when I make that final decision, I usually kind of go my own way.
I think a lot of times we get it wrong. Like we think what somebody else is thinking for them.
Yeah.
And our subjective opinion about how they're thinking is actually wrong.
Yeah.
It's like 100% wrong.
That's actually, so I had some mental health issues when I was growing up, especially in college. So I was meeting with psychiatrists and the best psychiatrist I ever had, he was like, you're trying to predict people's reaction all the time. And he's like, you're not even giving them the opportunity to have a reaction because you've already determined what their reaction is going to be beforehand. And I think that people with anxiety and people that are kind of afraid to walk their own path spend too much time trying to predict what people's actions or opinions of what you say or do is going to be.
So let's do less of that, maybe.
Yeah.
Number 8. What advice do you give young entrepreneurs that are just going to start their business?
I definitely think that you got to be willing to grind. That's not my. That's the Mavericks owner. I can't think of his name. He's one of the Shark Tank guys, and he's like, "What's your grind?" And I agree with him. What's your grind? It's people are great at having ideas, but it doesn't mean anything unless you can put it into action.
Execute.
Tony Robbins, who's somebody who I don't really have much affection for, actually has a quote that I do appreciate quite a bit, and that's people overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do in a year. And I think that is something that I live by constantly. It's like, don't beat yourself up over that 24-hour period. Just keep grinding. Every day, try to do one thing that is going to enhance what you're doing. And then Warren Buffett, another one who I do have a lot of respect for, another quote that I kind of live by is, luck is the intersection of opportunity and preparedness. When you got to get lucky to get the opportunity, but if you aren't prepared to take advantage of it, then it's not really an opportunity at all. So,
or if you're too fearful to take it, like you should, and you still don't.
And I still deal with that quite a bit, and that's something that I've made some what I would call business mistakes in the past couple of years because I was over analytical. I didn't just trust my gut and go for it. But then I chalk that up and I say, next time I'm in this situation, make sure that you remember to get outside of your head. If it's a good deal, it's a good deal. And you can work a deal both ways. You can sit down and make something that is a terrible deal look like a good one by overanalyzing it, and vice versa. You can make a great deal look like junk. And I kind of err on the side of making really good things look junky. So I fight that. It's something that I'm growing from, and hopefully I don't make too many more of those mistakes.
Yeah, well, you're operating. And when you're in operation mode, if you spend too much time dwelling on what you could have done, then you're not doing.
Turn the page, without a doubt. Yeah, you can't dwell. I do stay up at night a lot with that like sinking feeling in my stomach about regrets and things like that. But you have to turn those off because there's nothing you can do about it. And you got to turn that into, how am I going to make a better decision moving forward?
Number 9, what's been your biggest struggle?
I think that my biggest struggle is consistency. I think that I'm like kind of very where the wind blows. So I can get really excited about something and then that grind. I have a hard time sticking to this, routine of success. Now, at the same time, I think as the older I get, 1, the better I get at it, and 2, the more I realize I can surround myself with people. I have an amazing business partner with the trivia guys who he balances me out in a lot of these ways. He's definitely more of that day-to-day grinder, and he kind of lets me do these big picture creative things. So, when you know your weakness, then you can always use that as a strength. And that's something, the older I get, the better I get at that, for sure.
Awesome. Number 10, what's been your biggest achievement?
Wow. So that is a really good question. And it's hard. Sometimes you don't think about it in those terms. I think I'm big on achievement. I'm big on having these moments. I've run a marathon before. That was a huge deal. How
long was it?
26.2.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not.
Yeah, the full daddy.
Ooh. Yeah, I could not do that.
Well, I couldn't do it right now either. And it's amazing. I barely did it when I did it, but it was a goal that I set out. A lot of people think I'm crazy for even trying to do it, or why do you want to run? And for me, running was always people that run are successful for the most part. It's a club of people that have great success.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean people that don't run aren't successful, but I've always looked at that group that is really into running as a pretty high achieving group. Yeah. And so I was like, I want to be part of that. And so I did it, and I don't really run much anymore. But I got the notch on the belt. That I wouldn't say that's my greatest achievement. I've had a lot of cool moments, but off the top of my head, I think that's a good example of me kind of getting crazy about something. And
well, kudos to you, because if I see somebody jogging and I'm at a stoplight or whatever, I get as far as, I'm probably not going to eat a burger today. Yeah. And that's about
well, and it's funny. I go in and out of that. And there are times, right now, I probably am the exact same way. But there are times where I can turn it on and turn it off.
Drum roll, number 11. Who is your biggest hero?
Wow, that's a great question. I would say that my biggest hero is, I don't know. That's a really hard question. I think I'm not going to say my biggest hero, because this is not necessarily the truth. But somebody that I admire greatly right now is Elon Musk. And the reason I admire Elon Musk, he's a crazy dude. He has all these, if you follow him on Twitter, you never know what he's going to say or what he's going to do. I'm actually going down to Cape Canaveral next week to watch SpaceX launch Americans into space for the first time in 11 years from U.S. soil. And I guess that's the whole point, is we live in a society right now where people have voices and people listen to them all the time. And it's great. Like, you can go on Twitter or on Facebook and you can say anything that you want. Elon Musk, 15 years ago, started a company called SpaceX and said, I'm going to privately launch astronauts into space. And you can talk about all the crazy things he said along the way, but he set a goal and he did what many people thought was impossible. And he's getting ready to pull it off in a week's time. And I don't think it stops there. You know, the electric car, the fact that we look at the reason people didn't want to buy electric cars is because they were junk. You know, it was a golf cart, right?
Of course.
And now the Tesla is like, a 4-door Tesla will beat a Ferrari off the line. You know, like, who doesn't want one of those? So I guess the words aren't that important to me. It's more, you set a goal and you accomplish it. And his accomplishments at a pretty darn young age, I can't imagine what he's going to do moving forward, as long as he doesn't stick his foot in his mouth too far.
Right.
But it shouldn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's just words. Words are not actions. And his actions are pretty unbelievable.
They map to a lot of success, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, at 12 years old, I think he wrote his first video game.
Yeah.
It coded it.
And there's lots of genius people out there.
Sure.
You know, I don't want to like diminish that, but that's not why he's successful. He's not successful because he's really smart. That's a big part of it. But I think he's really successful because he dreams big, and he's not afraid to make really outlandish, and he's not afraid to like totally fall on his face, because he does all the time. He's not calculated. He has a purpose and a mission, and damn the torpedoes, he's going to accomplish it.
And he's willing to put in the work.
Yeah, totally.
He can work 16-hour days.
Well, and I don't know how healthy that is. You know,
well,
like,
no, but I mean, when it's necessary.
Yeah.
He's not doing that every day, but
totally. But yeah, I definitely admire him. I wouldn't say he's my greatest hero, but I have a lot of admiration for him.
So I really appreciate you doing this.
Of course.
The Trivia Guys, where can everyone find you?
Well, we're a pretty big company. We do about 85 games a week. We hadn't been doing much games lately, but we'll be starting back up in June for sure. So the best way to find us is through Facebook, honestly. But we're on all the social media formats. So it's Knox Trivia Guys is this specific market. You know, we have markets in Nashville and Tri-Cities and Chattanooga. But if you want to see what we're doing around here, Knox Trivia Guys on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We post our schedules daily. We do a booze clue, so definitely check that out. That might help you with the game. They're always completely free to play, so it doesn't cost anything. Just come on out and enjoy some non-cell phone time with your friends. You're forced to interact with each other.
Awesome, man. Thanks for doing this. Hey, everyone. If you enjoyed today's episode, please remember to subscribe. And remember, if you're not living your best life, what life are you living?